Hey vinyl community, this video is going to be a contest entry for my good friend Robert over at Robert's on My Turntable. He's one of my favorite Canadians ever. And he has a contest right now, changes, about lineup changes and 5 bands and our favorite lineup or our favorite era of that particular band. Make sure you check out Robert's channel. He is the coolest, most laid-back guy ever. You feel like you're just having coffee with him. He's just there sipping his coffee. He's going through his records. He's talking about them. It's like your friends. You bond with him immediately. I love watching his channel. Just mellows me out, and I love seeing him talk about records. He's got a wealth of knowledge about the records that he talks about, and it's just fun to watch. Check him out, absolutely. So anyway, his contest, like I said before, 5 bands and your favorite era of that band. First band I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite bands of all time, Pink Floyd. This is the post-Syd Barrett era, where you've got Roger Waters, David Gilmour, Nick Mason, and Richard Wright. Nobody thought that they would ever be able to recover from losing Syd Barrett to mental illness. However, you know, this album is a little bit rough. This was their first album without Syd, although technically it's not without Syd because he is on the final track, Jug Band Blues, but they're moving already in a different direction, starting to get into some more extended improvisational sound collages with this record. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, Let There Be More Light, A Saucer Full of Secrets, which is very kind of avant-garde and weird, almost like something Frank Zappa would put on one of his albums. But I like this album a lot. Not my favorite by any stretch for this particular era of the band, but I don't know, it's grown on me over the years, and I think if you love the Syd Barrett era, there's some of that a little bit on here, but if you also like some of their later works like Metal, Dark Side of the Moon, they're moving in that direction, but it would take a long way to get there. But I don't know, there's something charming about this album, Saucer Full of Secrets, but that by far, as I think it is most people's favorite era, the classic lineup of that band, and that's my number 1 pick. Number 2, I am going to go with Chicago, the classic lineup with Terry Kath before he passed away very unfortunately in, I believe it was 1976, 77, somewhere around there. Anyway, this is their second album. Some people call it Chicago 2, but technically it's just called Chicago. Their second double album already. I don't know any band that their first 3 albums were all doubles. And actually, they had a 4-disc live album that followed Chicago 3. But anyway, I like this album a lot. It is, it's got the epic ballad for a girl in Buchanan that has some of my favorite Chicago moments. Make Me Smile, Color My World is on here. This has 25 or 6 to 4 on it, which is just an amazing track. I love that first side, Moving In, The Road, just a great way to kick off the album, and it's a lot of fun. First album definitely blew people away at just how versatile, how fantastically skilled each of the band members was, and this album is no exception. This one is really great. I think it is just as good, almost just as good, let's say that, as the first album. That one was really hard to beat, but this is definitely enjoyable. I don't know, it's kind of almost like this time of year where spring's starting to, warm up the weather a little bit, and we're starting to see the snow melt. Always think of this album, love playing this album around this time of year, so definitely the classic lineup before Peter Cetera kind of took over my favorite era of this band. Number 3, another one of my favorite bands, Genesis. This is the classic Peter Gabriel lineup. So you have Peter Gabriel, you have Phil Collins on drums, you got Mike Rutherford, you've got Steve Hackett on guitar, you've got Tony Banks on keyboards. This is maybe not their best album of their lineup, but I don't know, I like it. It's very proggy. If you like progressive rock, you'll definitely love this one. I think that The artwork also is very cool. These early Genesis albums, there's something very, I don't know, kind of classical about the artwork that they use. This one has a gatefold on it, but musical box is great. I love the giant hogweed. The return of the giant hogweed song is really great. Just the opening guitar arpeggios. You know what I'm talking about if you heard this album. But yeah, love this. Love Foxtrot. Love everything that came afterwards. Definitely an excellent album. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was the last album of this classic period, but this one is the first one to feature this lineup, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Trespass had this lineup. So anyway, love this classic era of Genesis. I like all eras of Genesis, but this is my favorite. Another band that has had so many lineup changes, it is hard to keep track of, but by far this is my favorite lineup of the band, talking about Fleetwood Mac. This was their self-titled album, though not their first album. This was the classic lineup of Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham, Christine McVie, John McVie, and Mick Fleetwood. And it is a pop masterpiece. You got Monday Morning on here, Warm Ways, a great Christine McVie track, Rhiannon, Over My Head, Say You Love Me, Landslide. I mean, this is almost as this could stand toe to toe with Rumors. That's how solid this era of the band was. I love Tusk. You know, everything up through Tango on the Night, I think is pretty unbeatable. So yeah, love that era of Fleetwood Mac. And then last but not least, another one of my favorite bands, I am going to go with Yes. And this, again, for me, this was their best lineup. You got John Anderson on vocals, Bill Buford, my favorite Yes drummer in this lineup. You've got Steve Howe on guitars, Chris Squire on bass, and you've got Rick Wakeman, the temperamental Rick Wakeman, who would come and go. He was one of the most inconsistent members of Yes, but this is by far my favorite Yes album. Close to the Edge might be my favorite. In fact, it is my favorite progressive rock album. Just blows me away every time I listen to it. But, you know, Yes were so sophisticated. They were great, a great ensemble. I wish I could have kept this lineup forever, but, you know, things got to change, band members come and go, and for me, this was the pinnacle of Yes, my favorite lineup, and those are 5 of my favorite bands. So, Robert, good luck on your contest. Hope you get a lot of entries, and hope everybody checks out Robert's On My Turntable channel. All right, take care.